Hey guys, hey, back at it again. We are on page 291 in your books right now. So excited to get going and learn some new math. We are continuing on what we're doing. We're not forgetting about what we've already done. We're still going to use products and quotients. We're going to multiply exponents and divide them. But now we're going to talk about some other pieces. We're going to look at what it means today to be a negative power. Okay. So we're only going to look at the top part of this, and then we're going to look at a few examples, and then I'll give you a lesson to work on. Tomorrow, we'll finish out with what it means to have something to the zero power. Okay. So they give us this example here in the top of 2 to the fifth divided by 2 to the eighth. Okay. And it's the easiest way to kind of understand what a negative exponent really means. Okay. So if you look at 2 to the fifth over 2 to the eighth, okay, which we cancel out the ones that make 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and you're left with 3 2's, 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 to the third in the bottom. If you think about what we did about division, how did we tackle that? Well, we said we want to do it the easier way, and we want to subtract our exponents. So this is really 2 to the 5 minus 8. But that gives us a negative exponent, 2 to the negative third. So what we really need to understand about a negative exponent, what it really means is that it's in the denominator of the quotient. Okay? So 1 over 2 to the third is the same as 2 to the negative third. We want to start really getting away from having to write it out this way, but that's the way we're going to start it. Okay. And 2 to the 5 minus 8 is the same as 2 to the fifth over 2 to the eighth. We're going to take the top exponent and subtract the bottom one. Okay. So if we use that same rule over here, that would be 5 to the top, the numerator exponent is 3 minus the denominator's exponent, which is a 5 to the negative third. Well, let's look at it here. What does that look like here? Well, it looks like 5 times 5 times 5 over 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, 6 times. Now let's cancel those out. 1, 2, 3. And we're left with 1 over 5 3 times. 5 times 5 times 5 is to the third power. So here, these two are really the same thing. Okay, we don't want to write them as negative exponents, but sometimes we get a negative exponent and we want to rewrite that as in the denominator of a quotient. Okay, so basically just taking this and putting it underneath a 1 over 5 to the third. Okay, I'm going to push pause here real quick, and then I want you to do the same, and I want you to finish out the next one on your own. Okay, here I've quickly done that problem, and I've canceled out the a's. I'm left with 1 over a to the fifth on the bottom. If I used our subtraction rule for division of exponents, it's a to the 3 minus 8. 3 is in the numerator, 8 is in the denominator. They have the same base. I can subtract them. A to the negative fifth. So a to the negative fifth is the same as 1 over a to the fifth. Okay? I'm going to put pause. I want you to do the same thing for the next problem. You know what? I got tired of writing all these out. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to say that it's x to the 4 minus 10. 4 is in the numerator, 10 is in the denominator. They have the same base, x to the negative 6, which is the same as 1 over x to the sixth. A negative exponent, we just put in the denominator of the quotient. Okay, so let's look at a few problems. I have a few examples before I give you your assignment for today. Okay, here's the first one, 2 to the negative third power. How can I rewrite 2 to the negative third power? Well, that's really 1 over 2 to the third power, which I would rewrite as 1 over 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, 1/8. Okay? How about this one? Now it gives us a quotient. What do? Well, we subtract the exponents. So this is really 10 to the 2 minus a negative 2. Uh-oh. Well, what is 2 minus a negative 2? That's really 10 to the 4th power. Remember, if we're subtracting a negative, we're going to add the opposite. Okay? So 10 to the 4th. Well, you may say, well, Mr. Griffith, how did that now become, if I have a negative exponent? Well, it's kind of the reverse of if you have 10 to the negative 2, it's equal to 1 over 10 squared. If you have 1 over 10 to the negative second power, we're going to move that now to the top. 10 to the second power over 1, which is really just 10 to the second power. Okay? Example number 2, subtracting exponents, okay? Now let's look at this one. Now we're going to put a lot of different information into the problem, okay? So we have our coefficients out front, 10 divided by 5, what's that? That's 2, okay? Then we have x, we're going to subtract our exponents, 2 to subtract a negative 3. To subtract a negative 3. Then we're going to take our y. Y to the negative 4 minus a negative 1. Okay, here we begin. We have subtracting negatives, subtract a negative 3, add the opposite. Subtract a negative 1, add the opposite. So what I end up with is 2 to the 2 plus 3, which is 2 to the, x to the 2 plus 3 is x to the 5th, and y to the negative 3 plus 1, y to the negative 3. Well, what do we know about a negative 3 as an exponent? Well, what are we supposed to do? Put it in the denominator of the quotient. So this is really 2x to the 5th divided by y to the 3rd. We just took that negative exponent, like we did in the page before, and we moved it to the denominator. Okay, so those are quotients. Let's look at these. Okay, we still can use products, okay? So I'm just going to multiply the bases together. 2 times 5, 10. A squared times A to the 3rd. B to the negative 3 times B. Well, I'm going to go back, okay? What do we do when we take products? We add them together. So this would be A to the 2nd plus 1. 2 plus 1. And this would be b to the negative 3 plus 1. So if I rewrite that, that is 10 a to the 2 plus 1 is to the 3rd power. B to the negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 power. Oh, we have a negative exponent. What are we supposed to do with negative exponents? We need to put those into the denominator. 10a to the 3rd over b to the 2nd. Okay, so I'm going to give you your assignment. It's attached to today's Google Classroom. We're going to go through a few of those tomorrow morning. I'll give you out the zero property. Okay, and then on Friday, if we're having any issues, I'll get together with anyone who wants. I'll send out a Zoom meeting, and we can get together. I'm going to say 11 o'clock on Friday morning. Okay, so Friday at 11, if anybody's having any problems with any of the assignments. All right, see you guys. Thank you. Miss ya.